Hi, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about the Solitaire game. The game comes complete with Solitaire specific rules, mechanics and scenarios, as well as the two-player rules and scenarios. The Solitaire game has a bespoke AI system, and I'll do a separate video of how that works. It does share a lot of the core game mechanics as the two-player game. So for example, movement and combat works by and large the same as a two-player game. Where it is different is in a couple of areas. For example, in this Solitaire scenario, you're playing the allies trying to take an objective of these two hills here, defended by the Axis tanks and armour. Within that, the turn structure is similar to the two-player game in that what you can do is very similar. So for example, in this example here, you place, there's 4 German armour counters, so you place 4 German chits in the cup. 4 allies, you place 4 allies in the cup, and you randomly draw one out, and that will tell you who gets to go. Some of the Solitaire scenarios that does not apply. So in some of them, the Germans would have the right amount, but the Allied player has less. So there's more decision making as part of that scenario. There are some scenarios where you don't know what German forces you'll be facing. So the scenario will tell you to pick from certain counters. You place them upside down. You move them about, and you randomly pick 3, leave them upside down, and place them on specific hexes. And it's not until you get within a certain range that you can turn them over and see actually what German counter you would be facing. And it will tell you which way to orientate them in the scenario. So there's a fog of war, for example, in the Solitaire game. Depends on the scenario as to the specifics. But by and large, it shares the same core mechanics. So like I said, moving, shooting. When you get one of your activations, for example, if you pull out Allied, and this scenario we're playing as the Allies. Some scenarios you'll play as the Allies, some you'll be playing as the Axis. But in this scenario you play as the Allies. And you'll be able to move and fire, use smoke, use snap fire if you want, and so forth and so forth. Exactly, and by and large they're the same mechanics as the two-player game. Where it's also very different though is the AI, and I'll do a separate video on the AI. The overview of how the AI work is they will look for easy targets as a priority. There's a priority stack that you'll go through in helping determine what the AI will do. So for example, if there's let's use a really good example here. There's a Sherman with its back, its rear facing the enemy. Well, in the AI's term, yeah, they're going to fire at the enemy, and they'll choose the counter that's got the most chance. So the one with the most effective gun, for example, and that's closest to this Panzer IV would fire against that Sherman. It's a lot of common sense. But also, it does talk you through, that's an easy, obvious example. It does talk you through examples of how to prioritize what the AI will do depending on the situation of the game. And it's an AI system that I have iterated on over the previous 2 until the bitter end games, and then modified it to deal with armor and the specifics of this game. So hopefully that gives you an overview of the Solitaire. Like I said, to kind of just touch on it again, specific Solitaire scenarios, especially designed for the Solitaire play in mind. There are specific game mechanics relating to those scenarios. Like I said, more fog of war, more unpredictable, not quite sure what you're facing against, depending on the scenario. And there's some other rules as well, scenario specific to the Solitaire game. And then that AI system of determining what the AI will do against you as you play through the game. I hope that gives you a good overview, and I'll do separate videos that speak and that demonstrate that AI system more. Thank you for watching.